that's dope, you know. So, you know, it was good sparring. It was very, very good experience for me. Him, the way we focused on him.
The bigger guys training for this, how's that felt?
You said
sparring the bigger guys.
The fight between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez is a fight that brings together some of boxing's biggest stars, and this time it's Terence Crawford and Gennady Golovkin. Terence Crawford knows much more than to risk his invincible career of 41 fights against Canelo Alvarez, and to avoid any disaster he sought the help of Canelo Alvarez's previous opponents. Just a few weeks ago, we saw Terence "Bud" Crawford in the gym with Floyd Mayweather.
Can you fill in the blank? Triple G is blank.
Si puedes terminarle la explicación. Triple G es, ¿qué dirías?
And now Crawford has turned to Triple G for help, despite Canelo defeating him twice in their trilogy till date. It remains a huge controversy as to whether their first fight was truly a draw. Seeing that Gennady Golovkin outlanded Canelo Alvarez in 10 of the 12 rounds only, for the judges to score the fight a draw, the result of the first fight set the pace for a trilogy, where Canelo Alvarez then proved himself in the remaining 2 fights.
I mean, you don't have to give details. I know you guys are competitive, but what was that sparring like on, fight fans want to know?
It was
2 goals.
It was dope. It was dope. I appreciate it.
Well, Crawford wants to understand how Gennady Golovkin could disturb and dominate Canelo Alvarez, leading him to a controversial draw. The friendship between Terence Crawford and Gennady Golovkin really started when rumors spread about a possible fight between them last year. But here's the first lesson. Crawford learned from Triple G it was in how hard Canelo Alvarez's punches are.
For even, giving me the opportunity to step in the ring with him, I can say that.
Arguably the biggest punch of all 3 fights for Triple G against Canelo came in their first meeting when Canelo landed a huge right hand in the 9th round and caught Golovkin clean. Triple G has revealed to Dazen just how hard the punch was, and the answer may certainly be of interest to Crawford. I remember that punch, I let it get through. I don't know what to call it. It wasn't hard. It felt kind of like a slap. I guess a slap or a sliding punch. Well, it didn't do too much with Golov playing down Canelo's power. It may give Crawford even more optimism ahead of their likely meeting.
So Jake Paul's in town, you guys gonna get dinner?
I don't think so.
Maybe next time.
Canelo, can you fill in the blank for me? Triple G is blank.
Aside from their conversations, Terence Crawford also had a brief sparring session with him, just like he did with Floyd Mayweather some weeks ago. When the Crawford versus Triple G fight did the rounds, many found it quite questionable. Some fights in boxing are just not possible regardless of how much you might want them to happen. Such is the case in the story, where rumors suggested His Excellency Turkey Alec was exploring a mega fight between former undisputed welterweight champion Terence Crawford and former super middleweight champion Gennady Golovkin.
Конечно, да, потому что я скажу так, наверное, во мне вот эта вот страсть к боксу еще пока не остыла. В данный момент у меня 3 пояса в 160, мне надо решать свои вопросы.
Triple G 42 never officially announced his retirement from the sport, but after suffering his second career defeat at the hands of Canelo Alvarez in 2022, he never returned to the sport. He would further become the head of Kazakhstan's Olympic Committee, partly ending speculations about his return. Regardless, the Saudi royal hopped on X recently to debunk these rumors, after the rumors about Al Sheikh wanting to arrange their fight in 2025 started spreading. On social media, Fight Hub TV picked up the story and asked their followers, "What do you think of fight fans?" This seems to have caught the Saudi advisor's eye, who quickly docked at the comments section to write, "Not truth," revealing the whole thing was a hoax, and he has no intentions of making such a bout.
Ну, я думаю, даже скажу, может быть, немножко громко, я неплохо себя чувствовал, и если вы видели, как бы я...
Even after he revealed the truth about the Crawford versus Triple G fight rumors, fans couldn't help but share their thoughts about the hypothetical fight despite being in what seems like a retirement. Golovkin boasts a loyal fan base online who quickly took his side. One user felt Triple G must still have his power. Despite his age, the user wrote at 160. Triple G might be slow, but I'm sure he is still powerful. But have people seen Triple G lately? The man looks retired, and like he hasn't sparred, ran 6 miles in 2 years. Interestingly, even though he doesn't look like he will return to boxing, he has hinted at a potential return in several interviews.
В принципе, даже не пропускал, и не устал. То есть я показал, что есть силы, чему я очень рад.
Next user shared their prediction for the bout. Crawford will not step in the ring for this fight. Triple G will stop Crawford within 7 rounds. By stoppage, wrote the user, notably in Crawford's last 12 bouts, he has gone the distance only. Once, meaning he is no pushover, akin to the previous user. This guy has similar thoughts. Prime Triple G versus Bud Triple G wins with ease, wrote the user in his prime. Golovkin actually had one of the most scary knockout ratios, with 42 wins and 37 knockouts.
Где бы я бы ни находился, я, конечно, буду думать о том, как...
On top of that, Crawford's climb to higher weight classes wouldn't have helped him either. The next user seemed dumbfounded by the matchup. Shake my head. Terran may need to retire. He has no one else to fight. They're just pulling hell out of a hat. At this point, the user remarked, however, that's not exactly true. Jiren Boots Andis has been itching to fight Crawford, but Bud has refused to participate. Meanwhile, this user seemed to like the prospect of the hypothetical matchup old Triple G versus Crawford would be amazing, the user wrote. Both were elite fighters with a wealth of skills. Indeed, it would have been a great matchup. Some fights in boxing are just not possible, regardless of how much you might want them to happen.
Pocos huevos.
Similar is the case in Moment's story, where rumors suggested His Excellency Lemon Alec was exploring a mega fight between former undisputed welterweight champion Terence Crawford and former super middleweight champion Gennady Golovkin, while their fight was off. Terence Crawford ultimately got his asked fight against Canelo Alvarez. It's the rearmost huge fight in each man's separate careers, with Crawford having faced the likes of Errol Spence Jr., Sean Porter, and Amir Khan over. The Times Canelo has had a number of big fights too against the likes of Floyd Mayweather, Miguel Cotto, Shane Mosley, and Sergey Kovalev, while 3 of them have come against his former bitter foe, Golovkin Alvarez, and Golovkin met over a 5-time period, the first bout coming in September 2017 and ending in a controversial maturity draw. However, numerous felt that the Cockstar should have...
We don't know. We know he's capable of a lot of things, but, we're not going to overlook anything, and that's why we prepare the way we prepare and focus on.
Rematch took place 12 months latterly, with Canelo claiming a narrow points palm, while the third meeting in 2022 was arguably the most decisive of the 3, as Alvarez again won on points, this time more comfortably. Canelo has lately inked a 4-fight deal with Riyadh Season, with the first of this huge deal set to take place on May 3rd, when he takes on IBF super middleweight champion William Cranium in, and a shot to come, the undisputed super middleweight champion, formerly again. One man who has had immediate experience in preparing a fighter to face the Mexican icon is Abel Sanchez, who counseled Gennady Golovkin in 2 of his bouts against Canelo in 2017 and 2018. Independently speaking to KO artist Sports, Sanchez gave Bud Crawford little to no chance against Canelo, citing his considerable weight disadvantage is a major factor.
I can bet the house on, but because me and him.
It's a ridiculous fight because I said it a while ago, Crawford is a great fighter, but he has been the same fighter from 135 to 147. He is still the same fighter. He hasn't changed anything to make him feasible at the bigger weights, but Canelo has. Crawford hasn't been destroying his opponents. He destroyed one who was a shell of his former tone, but Canelo is destroying everybody that he fights. Destroying them. But Crawford's not. Yes. It's a good plutocrat fight, but not a real fight also, former too. Weight world champion Andre Ward has raised his opinion on the implicit super fight between Saul Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford.
We so much alike in our mentality. Like soon as I see this dude, he come in the room or I come in the room, we start arguing about basketball.
But has been targeting Canelo ever since he put in a career defining performance last time against bantamweight rival Errol Spence Jr. Although the Mexican firstly dismissed the fight, he lately admitted he'd be prepared to defend his super middleweight titles against the eye. Naturally, lower man, if the plutocrat was right. Speaking on the All the Bank podcast, Ward, who retired with a perfect record of 32 triumphs from 32 fights, named the 2 competitions he wants to see utmost in boxing. I want to see Canelo fighting Terence Crawford or David Benavidez. You have 2 options. You can go to notoriety in your weight class, or you can try and pick on the lower Joe Terence Crawford interview, 14. In the implicit Crawford-Canelo clash, his plutocrat would be on. The man who last fought at 8 classes lower. I am not laying against Terran right now against anybody not doing it, talking about the most professed fighters in the game moment. Ward says Crawford is someone you cannot go your house. On notoriety, I can go the house on is Bud me, and him are so important. Likewise in our intelligence, he is skillful, yes, but his heart and mind are different. There is not a lot of guys like that out there presently. There is a lot of guys that talk it, but until you get in that real fight, I am not saying a Joe you should beat. I am saying a Joe that's a 50-50. It's tourney. Also, we do not really know what you have.